See, today's episode, we're going to be talking about syndication. We're going to be talking about partnerships. We're going to be talking about how you can grow and grow a lot faster than the average and a typical person does in real estate. I want to break into syndication a little bit because you and I, with a couple of our friends, of our business partners, we recently went to a multifamily conference in Orlando. And I went there because my goal, my purpose was to be a better operator. I wanted to become a better multifamily operator. But what it turned out is that a huge portion, a huge percentage of that was about syndication. And I'll be honest with you, I was ignorant to what syndication was. I didn't really understand syndication. And I knew that it was like, okay, I'm going to pool people's money together, but I didn't understand all the different roles. I had no idea what GP, LP, sponsor, you hear all these terms being thrown out there and you really don't have any idea. And I've even heard people say, well, a partnership is a syndication. And now I understand very clearly that a partnership is not a syndication.
No, most definitely.
And so I think that I wanted to bring up and talk a little bit about syndication and say, what are the pros and what are the cons I see in syndication? Because to be honest with you, there are some pros in syndication, whether people want to say it or not.
Well, it's very passive, you know? You don't have to do anything.
If you're a limited partner, LP, limited partner, it can be extremely passive where you're literally putting money and let me go park it away. And you've recently met somebody like that who parks some money in a syndication.
Well, we both met the person. And this individual put money in two different syndications. One of them that's here in Houston, and he put another syndication, I think it was in New Orleans. And, we met him and he
was a syndication in New Orleans. That's brave to do something there.
Yes, exactly. But so he literally told me that he doesn't want to do any syndications anymore because he hasn't got any money in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, that tells you everything. Like syndications are amazing. We're probably amazing 5 years ago.
Of course.
When you got this whole big inflated thing that happened over 2020 to 2023, you got this big ass boom. But now the people who bought last year, they're struggling. The taxes went up, insurance went up, everything happened, and they were fighting for deals. They were literally just fighting for scraps because what was left at the peak of the market.
But the scraps.
It was literally the scraps. They were fighting over scraps, not knowing that interest rates were going to go up so high. And now they're struggling. A lot of these syndications are losing money, and they can't even pay their investors. I've seen the other day that there's a couple of big guys that they're raising more money because they can't.
Cash calls.
They cash call. They're raising more money and they'll dilute the shares of the people, and it's like, these things are happening left and right. So this individual now, he wants to partner with me and he wants to partner on deals with me. Now it's going to be better for him because now it's going to be more transparent. He's going to be able to see what's going on. He's going to be able to see what we're doing, how we're doing it. And also,
it's going to be more direct for him.
Exactly.
It's not going to be quite so far removed.
Yes.
And in the end, he's probably going to make more.
Way more.
Than he would have through the syndication.
Yes, way more.
But in this case, he gets to be hands-on if he wants to, or at least be eyes on.
Technically, he has to be hands-on.
Yeah.
He has to make some kind of decision in the business in order for him, or else we have to register to the SEC if he's a completely passive person.
Well, not on a partnership. So if it's just you and one partner,
are you sure?
It's different. It's a joint venture. You're not raising capital that way. If you're doing a capital raise, and yes, you fall under all the SEC guidelines, all the SEC regulations.
I'm not too familiar with that, so I'm not going to lie.
Those laws can be really specific. Look, I'm going to give a disclaimer right now so that we don't get sued here. We'll have them do it in post-set and put a disclaimer here. Disclaimer, we're not legal attorneys.
Yes,
this is not legal advice, guys. We're just saying that if you're going to do syndication, hire a syndication attorney who's going to tell you what to do. We don't want you to get knocked over the head because of us.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that what was really interesting to me is when I was there and I was meeting a lot of those people, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit. Most of those people that are in those syndications or that are the operator in a syndication have zero experience ever running an apartment complex or ever having a multifamily. The reality is that most of these people, they were struggling in their everyday jobs, everyday lives. And what the syndication became for them, and I'm sure if anyone's listening, they're going to hate what I'm saying right now, but it's probably because it's true. They just created a job for themselves within the syndication where they're paying themselves. And then now that they're in the syndication, they raised all the money, they go out and they operate it with that money. And when the market was really good, it made all these people look like they were geniuses. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, everyone is making so much money within these syndications. And for a person who was brand new or close to brand new, well, that's a pretty good gig. I look very, very rich. I look like I have this massive property, $50 million property. I might only own 1% of that $50 million, but I look great in front of the world, and I feel good, and I'm getting paid, and my life is going a little bit better than it was prior to me going into syndication. So I really, when I was there, I saw it like, oh, the syndicator route is really for the person who's looking for a job or who's looking to leave their job to get into real estate, but doesn't have their foot all the way in the water yet. And I could see a pro there if that's what you're trying to do. But to be quite honest with you, there's just so much small commercial out there, so many smaller deals that you can do, that it doesn't quite make sense to me to raise all this money, to be beholden to all these investors. We're talking not 10 people, we're talking 50, 100, 200, 300 investors. That seems like a bit of a nightmare to me.
And it's also, you have to think about that you're playing with people's lives, you know? You're playing with somebody's retirement account. You're playing with, it could be your mom that put her life savings because she believed in you, And it's like, it's a scary thing, because last year it was just very, the greed was very high, The greed was just like, I just want to get fees, like, I want to just like get as many deals as I can. I heard one syndicator told me we were putting $1 million hard day one.
I remember that.
And it's like, it's impressive what was going on, but it's like, they don't think about these families that are losing their money, and I cherish people's money. Like I think about even my private lenders, it's very important for me to protect their money and make sure that they're going to be paid. And I always underwrite the deals with them, with my lenders, to make sure we're both going to be safe. Are the rents going to cover this payment if the market goes down? And if you look at their financials, there is no way in hell that you're going to buy an A-class property and think that you're just going to be able to pay a note at 10% interest. There's no way in hell.
Yeah, you made a really good point. And I think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody say that. But when you're in a partnership, you're really close to that one or two people that are in a partnership with you. Like you said earlier, they're like your friends, your homies, and you respect that money that they're bringing.
It's very important.
Because it's a lot of money, and it's their livelihood, it's their life savings, like you said. And maybe that's why in a syndication, it's easier for these guys to go under, because you've got 200 names on that list. You've got 200 people out there that are almost like a name in a book.
Yeah.
But I'm not having to look somebody in the eyes and say, hey, your kid's college fund is gone. Your retirement account, you had 300, sorry, you have 150 now. They're not doing that. And look, a lot of people say syndications don't fail.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't fail back then because anybody could make it in a good market.
Exactly.
Now,
it's where it's really happening.
Exactly. And we're seeing big syndicators fail. Grant Cardone is being foreclosed on a property in Florida. A lot of his students that come from him, the Brad Sumrocks, they just got put out there that they've got syndications that are going under. Yep. You've got local guys here that have gone under
on a certain part of their portfolio.
On portions of their portfolio. And it really brings to light the fact that not everyone is going to score a home run. We're back to the days of you've got to really be a responsible investor and be responsible with people's money when you're doing those transactions.
Well, I think, and I put a post on Facebook about this, and no disrespect to any syndicator, you know, I respect everybody, and you know, everybody is in their own world. And
yeah, this isn't a knock to syndicators, and if it sounds that way, I apologize. I'm just saying, I think that as an operator, I prefer a partnership over a syndication.
But going back to my point,
yeah,
how are you going to cash flow with a 4-cap added value? How is that possible? There's no way possible. Just sit down and run the numbers and look at and put a vacancy rate and stress test those numbers. Stress test them, meaning sit down and say, hey, we're going to make, this is our NOI, this is what we're going to make per year, and then put a 10% vacancy and see what happens. See how negative this property is going to be. And don't forget to add on CapEx that happened. We get killed. This last summer, we got murdered with air conditioners. Yeah, we got killed. So it's like you have to stress test every single property to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And when you do that, you're going to be able to sleep at night with no problems.
Yeah, and remember, guys, whether you're syndicating or whether you're in a partnership or whether you agree with us or you disagree with us, be responsible with other people's money, because at the end of the day, you got to remember that those people worked really hard to earn that money, and it means a lot to them. So while we're advocating that, yeah, you should do partnerships, or if you want to go be a syndicator, go be a syndicator, you will probably grow a little bit faster that way when you're using other people's money, but be responsible with it. I think we need to have a conversation. Yeah. We've talked a lot. I would love on maybe the next episode, to have a conversation about value add so that we can really explain that difference. You kind of started to touch on it there at the end, and I would love to bring that on the next one. If you have a topic that you want to hear us talk about on the podcast, let us know. We really do read all those comments. We listen. We'd love to bring it up for you. My name is Gibran Hernandez.
Jonathan Chacon here. Follow us on Instagram, HTX One Day Closer.
I am RVR Lord, River Lord. Guys, it's such a pleasure to be here, and we'll see you on the next episode of Commercial Codebreakers.